Hey guys, welcome to the Shift with Intention podcast. I'm Jamie Zagrafis, your host. And today we're going to talk about detours in life and how blueprints look and things like that, and see how you guys feel about different detours that your life is taking that you chose and that you didn't choose, and what that blueprint is. So I really, I've done a lot of personal development, and I've done, when I'm not in a good spot, I just pop on, some YouTube video to listen to something and then dig into it. And the latest thing that really resonated with me was Detours. And basically, we all have this blueprint of what our life is supposed to look like, whether we're in college, whether we're young and we're playing soccer, whether we're, newly married, newly divorced, dating somebody for 2 years, whatever it is, we have a blueprint. You can also kind of call it expectations, but you have a way that you think it is supposed to look. And then when it doesn't go how you think it should look, then you get a little off kilter. And sometimes that off kilter, most often than not, is really a blessing and just reminding us that, you're not really in charge anyway. And let me get you on the path in which you're really going to go. And I think if we all just sit back and look at the detours that our life has taken, and whether that's adversity or the longer way to get to where you're going, something like that, the detour got us to the destination that we really wanted to go. For example, let's use my life for an example. I was married and, been married for, a year and a half, and I get diagnosed with breast cancer. Not the blueprint, and I'm 39, not the blueprint I thought was going to happen at all. And that shook everything up. And if I didn't get breast cancer, I wouldn't be here writing Shift with Intention and Soar, publishing the book. I wouldn't have this podcast. Maybe I wouldn't have gone on the huge personal development journey, because I needed that much pain in my life to be able to really dig deep. So that was probably my first huge detour on where I thought my life was going to be. I'm married. I got the big house, the picket fence. I got this cute little stepdaughter, my 2 kids. Everything was, what I thought was going to be amazing. And then you get this phone call that changes the entire blueprint. And things weren't going amazing in the space I was in. Hence, getting cancer was, it takes a long time for those cancer cells to develop. So that moment in time where I realized, this is a gift. The adversity is such a gift, because it allows us to look inside. It allows us to dig deeper, heal something, and realize that we're not in control. And the detour that we're going on is likely going to be better than the road we were on. And I think that's really neat. And so when, today I've been kind of a mess today, and I just had to sit back and be like, Jamie, you're not in charge anyway. And the detour is going to get you to even better place than where you thought you were going. So I am trying to figure out where I'm renovating a house, if I'm going to live there, if I'm going to flip it, if I'm going to keep renting, things like that. And which direction do I want this business to go, and all these things. And I'm like, gosh, I feel like when you're not on, you're not on. And so you feel like everything's failing. And it just isn't like that. Everybody's 100% can look different every single day. And so the detour to where I'm going, I have taken so many detours to where I'm going, because I thought I would live here, have this relationship, have this marriage, have all of the ducks in a row for me to be like, oh, yay, you can go fly now. And it looks nothing like that. And I'm typically okay with uncertainty. And today it just got the best of me. And so, got a funny story. I got pulled over today. I cannot remember the last time I got a ticket. And I always tell myself I don't get tickets. So whatever. And I wasn't really doing anything wrong. I sat at a stoplight and then I swerved, going after he honked at me, after the stoplight turned green, and I wasn't going, and then I went. So he pulls me over. He's like, is everything okay? I'm like, I mean, not really. He's like, why? And I was like, I'm just having a bad day. And so he's like, why? And I'm like, are we doing this? I mean, the police officer is really asking me. So anyway, I didn't get a ticket because, whatever. I didn't even have everything with me because I was going on a walk at the park. But anyway, we have to trust something bigger than us, you guys. I guess that's really the long and short of it all. If your blueprint looks like, your goals are going to be met A, B, C, D, and you're never going to mess up and nothing's going to come in your way, and this is exactly how it's going to go, it's just not going to go that way. It isn't. And when that happens, we have to be okay with that. And that's, I guess, my biggest thing today is, hey, Jamie, you've got to be okay that this isn't looking exactly like you thought. And that's okay. And it's all going to happen. And you always land on your feet wherever you're going. And sometimes the detours are fun. And sometimes the detours are, you learn like 5 lessons on the detour, getting to where your blueprint, where you eventually wanted to go. And sometimes you meet somebody on the detour that is going to help you on the path. And I think that part of believing that there's another way, and to just trust that even though it doesn't look the way you thought it was supposed to look, that detours are really a good thing. And detours bring us to the same destination or a better destination. So we've got to believe that. So that is going to bleed into the next thing, is our talk. How do we talk to ourselves? I'm huge on gratitude. I love gratitude. I am 99% of the time full of gratitude. And then like today, I just, I fell off a little bit. And gratitude always brings us back. And if you just sit down and you're like, I have this I'm so grateful for, and this I'm so grateful for. And they're just really small things when you're not doing okay. And that really circled me back. But in the self-talk of different days that we have, be so mindful of what you're telling yourself. I have learned that, in repeating some things I say to myself, a couple of things that I say to myself, they're very similar, but they are, everything always works out for me. I'm not even worried about it. It always works out. Or I always land on my feet. And it took me a lot of experiences to truly believe that would happen. And I now believe it. I don't even think about it. I was listening to a YouTube video the other day, and it was talking about, manifesting and that kind of thing. And it was saying, do you believe that you're going to get it? And the person being interviewed by, I can't even think of her name, otherwise I was going to say it, but the person, Abraham Hicks, the man was talking about relationships and then money. And so he was having a hard time with relationships. And she said, so tell me about your job and money. And he's like, oh, that always goes fine. I know I'll always be okay. I know I'll always have the money and I'll always have the business. And she said, that's why you have it. And she said, Abraham Hicks says, do you say the same thing about your relationships? And, that you'll always have, a solid, good, healthy relationship and all that kind of stuff. And he said, no. And she said, and that's why you don't have that. And I was like, gosh, that's so interesting, because that's exactly how something in my life, I'm like, it always works out. And there are plenty of detours in things that work out for me. And it not never, I'm not going to say that. There's plenty of times it flows very easy. And there's sometimes I take the long way there, but it always works out. And that's just a thing I always say to myself. And I think when you're, full of gratitude and you're full of, thinking that the glass is half full, that's a thought that, why don't you borrow? It always works out for me. I've been saying that for like 7-8 years. And guys, you have to believe that it does. You have to believe that it works out for you. And then it will, just like Abraham Hicks, that guy just works and works. And I believe that too. If something doesn't work out at one career or whatever, I know I'll create something else. And I know if I put my mind to it, because I believe in myself, that it will. And so I think that that's really important about your self-talk, even when you have a bad day. So this is fun. My daughter goes to KU and she is in the architecture program and she loves her major and she's doing really, really well. And I've been really paying attention to different things that I'm reading about confidence and just, little reels or YouTube shorts or whatever it is. And learning that when you honor yourself and your commitments, which I've talked about before, that is how you gain more confidence. And so this is so fun. She texted me the other day and she has this pretty difficult architecture teacher. And so last semester she did really, really well. And this semester she's like, so I got a B- on my first project. And I was like, oh, good. She's like, is it good? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, is it hard and all that? And she's like, it's really hard. She's way different than the other teacher. I'm like, oh, okay. And anyway, so then she goes into class the other day and she presents her project and the teacher said, I knew you had it in you. You have improved so much and you can only keep going up from here. I absolutely love it. She got this raving review. And so she texts me and she's telling me about it. And I've learned to just be quieter before I respond, to let someone else respond, because I already know what I'm going to say. It's kind of like listening. And so I like to leave a little space for someone else to respond, even if it's the person that's telling me the story. And so I don't respond yet. And of course, I'm proud of her, but I didn't respond yet. And her next text was, I'm so proud of me. And I was like, I love this. And I think that's my response. I love this. And I'm so proud, or I'm so happy you're proud of you. Of course, I'm proud of you. But in order for her to go where she needs to go, for her to believe things work out for me, for her to have all the things that she wants, she has to be proud of her and believe in her. And she worked really hard on that project and she honored herself and she did the commitment. I mean, she spends hours in the architecture room. And so it's the same thing with things that we're doing. If you're trying to lose weight, or you're trying to do really good at work to get a promotion, or you're trying to be mindful about something in your relationship with a conversation, the work that you've done on that space, whether it's a project or working out or eating, doing it over and over and over and making sure that you're honoring yourself and committing to yourself just makes you feel better about you. When I do all the things in the day that I say I'm going to do, I feel great. I feel so great that I was like, you know what? I was true to myself because I didn't let the day run me. And I think that's really neat. So make sure that when you guys, are talking to yourself, that it's something that you would want to tell your children or your best friend or somebody you deeply care about. How would you talk to them? Because we tend to talk to others better than we do ourselves sometimes. And I think that would be a really neat thing if you, when you're talking to yourself, be like, would I tell my best friend or my husband or wife or whatever, my children, this exact advice? So that is interesting, huh? And then I heard this thing the other day. I thought this was really neat. And I'm really, really big on listening. And I'm so big on listening because I wasn't before. I wasn't always a good listener. And I always wanted to say what I had to say. And now I really enjoy listening because if you really take into listening, you can really get some information that you can use in your life. And I think that is so, looked over. And I was listening, I don't know if it was on TikTok or what I was listening to the other day, but this guy was saying, how many times have you been told to be a good listener? And he said, instead of being a good listener, how about you be the last one to speak? So if you're at a work meeting and everybody's giving their advice and, or about the project or chiming in or whatnot, and you're just quiet, and then you're the last one to speak after you have all the information, how much could you learn in that space about what you really want to bring to the table? And I think that's so valuable, such a different way to talk about just listening. I think that when we truly listen, that the people we're talking with, when we truly listen, they feel seen, they feel heard, and they feel valued. And you're not getting on your phone, checking your text or TikTok or Facebook or whatever. But if you're truly just listening to someone and you're looking at them when they speak, how good do you think you make that person feel? And then you don't even cut them off and you just let them finish and create space for them to speak. So many people don't do that. So I challenge you to be the one who is the last one to speak. How about that? I liked that little information. And so I had a couple topics today and covered a couple of them. Let me see what else I had in my notes here. And all right, this is a good one. Short-term fun for long-term gain. I did this weekend. I intentionally was going to stay home on Friday and get some stuff done. And then I got this new top and I just got a wild hair. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go have a glass of wine by myself and, head over to somebody's house. And because, sometimes you get sick of work, or getting things done or whatnot. At any rate, short-term fun, long-term gain. If I would have just kind of honored myself, like I said earlier, and just either got some extra rest or did a couple of things that I needed to do, I wouldn't have been overwhelmed where I was today when I had a tough day. So are those short-term gains worth it? Or short-term fun, are they worth a long-term gain? Are they a long-term gain? So when you're thinking about that, do I really want this chocolate bar if you're trying to eat better? Or do I really want to skip this workout? Or do I really want to press snooze? Whatever it is, skip a meditation. I don't know. Is that short-term fun going to be long-term gain? So that's a nice question to ask yourself and see what you come up with when you're making a choice about something. So, and then the last thing, except a little quote that I have, is Ask, Believe, Receive, one of my very, very favorite books. And some people call it manifestation. Some people call it magnetism. Some people call it, I don't know, a million other things. But actually, this was talked about in church a couple weeks ago. It's in the Bible. And ask, believe, receive. We cannot get anything in life that we don't ask for. It's like if you're at a restaurant and they used to have something on the menu and now they don't have it anymore, but you're dying for it, you can ask them and say, hey, do you still have, the beet salad or whatever? And what if they said yes? A lot of times the chef is back there that can still cook it, but maybe it's not on the menu as a regular item, but they have everything. That you would never know. And now you're elated that you get your favorite salad. The same goes through everything in life. And it's such a simple concept. If you don't speak it out into the universe, I would really like to have this and just talk about it and speak about it. And can I please have this? It doesn't mean it's going to come wrapped up in a bow within 5 minutes. And it may not be like the blueprint that you want. And we may have to go on detours to get it. Just tying this all together. But you asked for it and you will receive it. And you have to believe that you're going to receive it. And that's the biggest thing. So asking is kind of easy, right? You just have to remember to ask. You can write Post-it notes all over your house to remember to ask. And believe and then receive. Believing is the hardest piece that people don't get. When I was first learning how to manifest, and to be honest, I do it so aimlessly now because it's just so much part of my day. So I think about something, I'm like, oh, there it is. But when I first started, I was very intentional about different things to kind of test the system. And I would sit there and I would envision, you can do it a lot of different ways. But if you envision already having it, like the emotion is joy and happiness and love and gratitude around this particular manifestation, this people, place, or thing. And really, truly feel like you have it over and over and over. It's not just one time and then you're just like, oh, it's going to happen tomorrow. It's over and over and over. So that vibration of feeling that again and again and again, and it will walk into your life. And you have to believe it. And if you have an underlying belief in your, thought process and your subconscious that you can't do it, you won't be able to. So you have to clear all of those things, whether it's worthiness or you think it's, silly or whatever your belief around it is. You can receive anything you desire. You have to be able to receive. You have to believe and be able to receive, which is not as easy as some of us think. And so I know sometimes people are like, oh, you always can manifest anything. And I'm like, yeah. And sometimes it takes me like 3 years to get through, the swamp of my beliefs before I do. But yes, I will. But I am super determined to get to where I want to be. And I think if we all set our intention on something, I know that we can get there. There's another quote, if you do too many things, everything fails. And I've totally done that. I've tried to, start 4 businesses at the same time. And I'm intentionally not talking about what I'm doing because I'm like, I have to do one thing at a time. And that is so hard for me and all my ADD, just so hard. But it'll all fail if you don't do one thing at a time because you can't give your full love and energy to everything and something else will step in its way. Okay. Then, as you all know from my last podcast, I graduated from my therapist and she gave me this book that I think some of you may have. I don't know. It's called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. It's so cute. Okay. And I just flipped open to this right before I got on the podcast. And it's a really cute quote. And it says, "What's your best discovery?" asked the mole. "That I'm enough as I am," said the boy. And isn't that the best discovery? We all are always trying to be something more or something else or something different. And at the end of the day, we all are enough exactly as we are. And if you just truly believe and are able to receive the people that are going to walk into your life and be with you, that will happen. Okay. And I have some very new fun things coming in the coming weeks and months with Shift with Intention. So stay tuned. And what I would love is if you guys could do a review on our podcast. I would love a review. I would love to hear anything that you guys want to talk about. I'm going to start doing a lot of research on different topics. Last week we talked about Brene Brown and the 7 elements of trust, the Braving acronym. And I'm going to break those down. And I might even make my own acronym because I feel like there are a couple things in there that I would totally add. And who says I can't make my own acronym? I can do anything I want, right? We can do anything we want. So very fun things happening. Jump on Amazon, get a copy of the book, Shift with Intention and Soar. There's so many wise stories in there of people's adversity and how their detours took them to a different place and an even better place. And it's so neat to hear how when something was so dark that our friends and loved ones came out in the light. So sometimes it takes the darkness to get to the light. And I love you guys. Thank you so much. And I'll see you next week. And if you would be kind enough to jump on, give us a review, subscribe to my YouTube, Shift with Intention, and TikTok. We are trying to create a following and would love to impact as many lives as we possibly can. So have a great week. See you guys next week.